Wheelie by the likes of Carolina Crusher. It's all coming your way today on ESPN, the superstars of monster truck racing.
Hi again, everyone. I'm Scott Douglas with Army Armstrong. Chris Chapman will join us in a minute, and we're back at Louisville Motor Speedway in Louisville, Kentucky, where 1 week ago some of the wildest racing we've ever seen on the TNT Monster Truck Challenge took place. And the guy who was really putting on the show and who was the big story was a fella who frankly didn't want to drive the truck he had here. Andy Brass made Bigfoot 4 talk on this figure 8 course.
Last week, Scott, it was a game of numbers. Bigfoot 4, remember, that's a 7-year-old truck. A lot of controversy started in Dallas 2 weeks ago. The truck that they were running was outlawed. Andy Brass made the statement, I would love nothing more than to come back and beat these guys with the old truck. And Scott, last night, he literally came that close to doing it.
In the run against Carolina Crusher in the semifinals, I don't think I've ever seen anybody in monster truck racing make up that big a deficit in one race.
He was well over a half track behind us. And after the run, during a driver interview, I remember looking at the camera saying, that was the best monster truck race I've ever seen. Then came the next race, which was the final. So that was last week. These guys have got a handle on the track. I'm looking literally for the people in Louisville to buy a ticket today to watch a war.
You know, I was talking to some of the drivers off camera before we went on, and they talked about being a little bit scared of this course. They say, hey, you can see the faces of the people in the crowd. But Andy Brass is not scared of this race course.
He's not afraid of the course at all, and that is something that the drivers are talking to me about. You got to remember, like you said, it's the longest course they run. They're turning left, they're turning right. And last week's winner told me in an interview later on, he said, Army, he said, when I was flying through the air, I thought that Bigfoot was going to literally land right on top of me. Now, it doesn't get any tighter than that.
It doesn't get any wilder, and it is a rough race course. Let's go down to Chris Chapman on the track, who's got more on this course itself.
That's right, Scott. There was a lot of breakage here in Louisville, Kentucky last week. Why? The drivers attribute it to these ramps. They say that the incline was so steep that it was shooting them straight into the air, resulting in a lot of breakage. For instance, we had many drive shafts broken, and the Clydesdale, he lost his back wheel. Now, what TNT wants to do to remedy this problem, you can see them working here behind me now, they're flattening out these ramps. Therefore, the truck should not get quite as much hang time, but it should make for some extra fast racing.
You're right about that, as they're going to get the ramps right to try and have a super day here on the TNT Monster Truck Challenge at Louisville Motor Speedway. The Clydesdale continuing to undergo extensive repairs by Bennett Clark and the crew. And boy, they have just really been snake bit lately. After a good run in Dallas in qualifications, Wildhair leaves his lane, knocks him over on his roof. Then here at Louisville Motor Speedway, first night of competition, ends up losing a rear wheel. Chris Chapman's going over to see if she can talk with Bennett Clark.
What type of damage did Clydesdale sustain when that back wheel came off last week?
Well, I broke the flange loose from the housing, which is part of the housing. I broke my steering ram that turns the back tires, broke my shocks loose. All my shocks are broke loose. A lot of the bolts pulled loose. This is major damage.
I also noticed some body damage. I understand you think that some of this could be a result of the flip in Dallas.
Yeah, that's what I think. From the way the brake is right here, I would consider a major possibility from the flip.
So what's the future for the Clydesdale now?
Well, we're going to try to get it back together and try to get into the race today. I don't know if I can run full bore tonight or not, but we'll go back home, straighten up the body, put the body back on, and we'll run it wide open again.
Good luck to you, Bennett.
Thank you.
We're about ready for the first round of competition, but before we get to the side-by-side racing, wanted to show you a wild qualifying run. This is Chris Tuffley and the Star Monster. It's a GMC truck out of Syracuse, New York. Now watch Chris as he comes off the first time he jumps the cars. You want to watch his landing here. Come on back down. He was trying to pull the back end of that truck back down, and the truck actually died on him as a result of the rough landing. Now Tuffley gets it refired, and he'll go ahead and complete the lap. But certainly for Chris Tuffley, one of the wildest runs of his young monster truck racing career. And you know, when he landed like he did with just the front wheels down and the rest of the truck flying up in the air, it had to be crossing his mind, uh-oh, this could be a real problem run. possibly could have flipped over, possibly could have ended up in the wall, but he got things stopped down and was able to complete what turns out to be a legal, albeit a slow qualifying run. Well, coming into today's action, Equalizer in that real tight points race has 6 points of an advantage over Bigfoot. The Auto Value King Crunch is here and is still very much a player. Carolina Crusher a strong fourth. Awesome Kong rounds out the top 5. Then it's USA 1 Nightlife, a struggling Gravedigger, the Buffalo Tremor, and the Outlaw trying to come on. He's in the top 10. First round competition from Louisville Motor Speedway. Track just 3 years old as Kenny Silver and Andy Vertrees built in 1987. And, you know, they run something like 600 people through their local stock car racing program in terms of actual racers throughout the course of the season. But certainly some of the wildest racing that goes on here all year is when the TNT monsters get to town. You're looking at the Auto Value King Crunch getting a wild bounce at the end, but keeping her straight. And what's left of the Clydesdale makes the run just for points. Certainly, Bennett Clark was unable to go full tilt at Louisville Motor Speedway in this first round matchup. So Scott Stevens, knowing what he's got to do, and that's win, will go ahead and finish this run very, very easily and move himself into the quarterfinals, while Bennett Clark in the Clydesdale still has a lot of repair work to do on that truck out of Powder Springs, Georgia. You know, King Crunch, the Auto Value Special, is not exactly looking 100% here today. Enough to win, but is it enough to keep going? Army's with Scott Stevens.
God, I'm kind of surprised you and Andy Brass both come out on what could have been an easy run, and both of you run the trucks real hard. You look like you actually did some damage to yours.
We didn't do it no good, that's for sure, yeah. And I needed to do some hard runs. I didn't do no good qualifying runs last night and went out early. We needed to do every hard run we could, and I knew I got Andy next round. He's going to be real tough. But, yeah, we hurt the suspension again. So.
You don't seem like the same Scott Stevens. You seem like you're tired, or there's just something missing in your voice right now. What is it? You tired, or the heat, or what?
It's just a little intimidated by the speeds we're running this week. I hadn't got comfortable with them yet. You know, the rounds are coming around, but they're not going to come around quick enough, it don't look like.
It was an easy win for the Auto Value King Crunch as the Clydesdale truck just died, apparently. There seemed to be no reason for it. Chris Chapman's with Bennett Clark. Let's see if we can find out.
So, Bennett, tell us about this dark cloud that keeps looming overhead.
It's getting bad. I mean, if it's not one thing, you get out there, you run, you tear something up. Then of all things, you get out there and forget to put fuel in one. I mean, you know, somebody's going to get the luck changed to them. They got to get some good luck coming towards me. It can't get any worse.
I'm not sure if that was an actual laugh or it was half cry being masked in a laugh, because Bennett Clark is sure on a bad run. And as he said, he forgot to fuel it up. Boy, that's a revelation. Here's the newest truck on the circuit. Kurt Fisher, a former world champion mud racer. He's driving for the Green Boys in the Micro Machine, and he has to take on the old warrior, Gary Porter's Carolina Crusher. Now, those of you who follow monster truck racing know the name Green. John Green built the original Mad Dog. The original Wild Hair was the Bob Green truck. Now they have put their efforts into this truck. It's the Micro Machine, sponsored by Duluth Toys. Oh, look out! Carolina Crusher is up on 2 wheels. He barely gets him down in time to avoid going in the wall. No, he does hit the wall. And Gary Porter's Carolina Crusher gives him a thrill at Louisville Motor Speedway. But it's not a thrill for Porter because he is beaten by the Micro Machine. Oh, my, what a wild run for Gary Porter's Carolina Crusher. Some of the fans at Louisville Speedway, I think, thought they were about to get the truck in their lap because Porter was way up there. Gary surveying damage. Here it is again. Now watch how that front end just kicks straight up on it. And he's completely on the back wheels. Boy, for a minute you wondered if he was going to come out of that wheel stand. And when he did, it was too late to avoid hitting the wall in the turn at Louisville Motor Speedway. Gary Porter, the Carolina Crusher, one more time. If you want to know what's underneath a monster truck, take a good look. You're about to get a full view from the Carolina Crusher right here. Army's going to talk to the winner, Kurt Fisher.
Well, Kurt, you've been in the winner's circle many times before, and the World Championship Mud Race Division, but it seems like you're getting a handle on this monster truck race, and you're doing a good job.
Well, Army, we're having a little trouble with the shock system on the truck, and it's caused it to get a little bit out of control whenever we go over the cars, but as soon as we get that settled down, there's not a truck here we can't beat.
You and John Bream and Bob Bream have got the experience in all the motorsports. It's just kind of like getting all the dice to fall at the right time in the same direction.
That's right. We sent 2 trucks to New York this weekend, and we brought the big one down here to see what we can do against these guys. And we're just putting it all together, and once we get it down pat, I'll guarantee you're going to see us in the winner's circle all the time.
Carolina Crusher finished the run after the big wheelie, but it's a very slow time for Gary Porter still after hitting the wall. Almost a miracle to even be able to finish the race. Army Armstrong is now going to work his way over as Gary Porter hops out of the Carolina Crusher to talk to him about a wild wheel stand for the Crusher.
Gary Porter, first of all, are you okay?
I'm fine.
I've never seen you do that. That had to be an eerie feeling.
That was one of the wildest rides I've ever took in the truck. You know, I'm fine, the truck's fine. You know, I was on the stand as long as I could, and when the front end was up so high, I couldn't see exactly where I was going, and I knew I had to be getting close to the wall, so I let out of it and hit the brakes to bring it down, and I was right on the wall, and I couldn't stay out of it.
Is there a chance that you might get to come back to a brake rule or a quick loser rule or something like that? Because these people in Louisville, Kentucky, son, they just fell in love with you on that run.
I think I can. That's why I wanted to go ahead and finish the course in case, you know, a truck was to break or something, so I could still come back as a fast loser, hopefully.
Does that give you any more confidence as a driver when you know you can go through something like that? I mean, do you believe in the truck more now? You believe in your ability as a driver more now?
I really believe in the truck after hitting the wall that hard and was able to, you know, to crank it up and keep on and finish the course.
Hopefully we'll see you in the next round later in the day.
Okay, thank you.
Digger is out to take on the Equalizer. You know, a couple of months ago, the Equalizer team, including David Morris, broke up. Chris Chapman has actually found Morris and the new companion in the pit.
Here's someone we haven't seen in a while, David Morris, the 1989 champion of the TNT Monster Truck Challenge. And the reason we haven't seen him in a while is something I think no one's really certain of. What's going on, David?
Well, got a fussy one today. Me and the owner of the truck I was driving just kind of started having too many disagreements, so I decided it'd be better if we just kind of separated. That'd work out a whole lot better.
And what's this you're holding? Tell us about this.
New one. She's 8 weeks old. Name's Mallory Kristen.
David, do you miss driving the Equalizer?
Yeah, I miss being around all the guys and racing. It's a lot of fun, but hopefully, I don't know when, but hopefully one of these days I can have my own truck and race.
So we haven't seen the last of David Morris?
Probably not.
We also haven't seen the last of the Equalizer as Greg Holbrook is driving the dickens out of his truck, and he is putting away the Gravedigger. Dennis Anderson from Kill Devil Hills, North Carolina, the most popular truck in the world today, is going to be one of the first ones on the trailer today because the Gravedigger is not running. Now, wait a minute. He's got it going, and they're going to meet at the intersection. Dennis Anderson decides to stop. Boy, Dennis Anderson has never backed off, but certainly that time, the stretching was the better part of valor. You know, this figure 8 course at Louisville Motor Speedway is made for action at the intersection for these race cars that run here every week, but I don't think these monster trucks were made to start crisscrossing at the intersection. Dennis Anderson will complete the run. He's done for the day. Wait, he's picking up speed. Dennis knows he's beat. He's going to hit it hard. Oh, man. And stuff is flying off the truck. I don't know. Dennis Anderson has something in him that will not let him let off at any time. He knew he was beat, and he was just going to hammer it anyway. Watch the Gravedigger. Look at that. He had nothing to gain except to tell these people in the stands, if you paid your money to see this truck go hard, you're going to see it. Well, there he is. Chris Chapman's going to ask him about that shot.
Dennis, let me ask you this. Is the same dark cloud that's following Bennett Clark around following you?
I think so. I think my cloud is following Bennett.
What in the world happened this time?
Well, I think when I come off the line, I came off kind of hard, and it rung a rear axle.
So I just eased off up until the end of the course. I just skied it out. I had to go for one more air ride before I put it on the trailer.
Yeah, you did. We noticed that. Why did you do that?
Well, I done it for the fans, really. I mean, it was really a pretty bum run, and I figured that if I had my momentum built up, I could get some good air out of it, and that's what they're here to see.
Dennis Anderson, always the true sport. Good luck to you in the races coming up in Richmond.
All right, thanks.
Dennis Anderson's Gravedigger is beaten and going on the trailer, but not before he gave these fans a thrill. First round action continues as Mike Wine's Outlaw Ford will do battle with Kid Rarig and the Thunder Chicken out of Catawissa, Pennsylvania. First turn, Outlaw's got the edge on the inside. Now they'll, of course, flip lanes here in a moment, and Outlaw will be forced to the outside, so he's trying to build up a big advantage. Good landing. Wine's in good shape. A little out of shape there. Wine looks really good as he's in the turn, but now he's got the longer run, and the Thunder Chicken's coming on. This is going to be a battle to the finish. Outlaw and Thunder Chicken. The Thunder Chicken gave him all he wanted, but Mike Wine's Outlaw holds him off by about 1 truck length. The Thunder Chicken really gave it an outstanding run against the Outlaw, which has been having a pretty good time at Louisville Motor Speedway. You see the difference was 1 truck length. And I'll tell you, I think Mike Wine may have been surprised at the competitiveness of Thunder Chicken. Chris Chapman's going to go talk with the Outlaw driver now.
I messed up on that one. I forgot to tighten my belt. Oh, shit. No more.
What a race.
Yeah. I messed up that time, though. I was sitting at the line, I was watching the gauges and worrying about everything else I did. I put the lap belts on and I forgot to pull them down. Came around the first track and I'm trying to pull down one. I went around the second time and I looked down to pull it down, and next thing you know, I was in the air in the cars, and that got a little rough. I'm gonna pull them tight before I even go out there next time.
I wonder what the time was on that. You all were just nose to nose out there. Did you know you had to pull it out there at the end?
Yeah, well, not as sure. Not until I came around the corner and I seen him in the corner of my eye. Then I know I had to just get on it. Just go for the cars.
Forget the belts, go for the cars.
Oh, yeah, go for the cars. Why not?
Why not indeed? If you can look inside the cab, you can see the beating Mike Wine took. But he gave Thunder Chicken a beating in the race. Outlaw advances. We'll be coming back with the quarterfinal round highlights in just a moment. Well, we've got a lot of rivalries in motorsports, and specifically in monster truck racing. There are some friendly rivalries, and then there's this one. Borderline nasty. The Bigfoot camp against the Auto Value King Crunch team. Scott Stevens, all year long, has complained and been the ringleader in the anti-Bigfoot 8 movement. He doesn't think that truck should be on the circuit. His lobbying efforts have worked. Bigfoot 8, at least for the time being, is vanished. And now he's in a side-by-side war with Bigfoot 4, and it looks like they almost hit. The Crunch truck went toward the wall, and Bigfoot 4 is going to put him away. And now, look out. The hood, the front sheet metal, is flying off of the Auto Value King Crunch truck. So he sustains damage, and he almost ate the wall. At the end, Bigfoot had put him away. And watch the Auto Value King Crunch shed a little excess weight. Wow, what a wild finish. Andy Brass beats his arch nemesis, and Army's going to talk to him about the victory.
Andy, anytime you and Scott get together, it's just a literal street fight out there, isn't it? Neither one of you going to give either one an inch.
That's right. You know, it was close running this round, but the Ford acclaimed Bigfoot was running pretty good. You know, I know we got up a little high in the lane, but at the same time, I think Scott might have been a little bit low. But like I say, it's just kind of, we're friends outside off the track, but once we get on the track, it's dog eat dog out here.
The touchdown tire belongs to the Equalizer Chevrolet. He just lost to the Carolina Crusher, and that's what happened to it. So the Equalizer is out of this competition, and that means Andy Brass and Bigfoot number 4 gaining a bunch of points if they can continue to win today. Another battle of Fords, the Outlaw, no problem. The No Problem Ford Bronco, driven by John Moore, taking on Mike Wine's Outlaw. Coming to the cars the first time, Outlaw is building a lead. Takes it pretty easy. Boy, look at John Moore. No problem. In a world of trouble. He got a whole bunch of air left his lane that may have disqualified him. I'm not sure, but John Moore's taking no chances. He is coming after Outlaw. It's going to be too little, too late. And Mike Wine records the victory. The win to Mike Wine's Outlaw Ford over the No Problem Ford Bronco. Once again, John Moore got in a whole heap of trouble. You could see a lot of air, and then when he came down, he was just out of control. Didn't take him long to reel it back in, but he had left his lane. The win goes to Mike Wine of the Outlaw. And here he is with Chris Chapman.
Congratulations on your win. Are you going to have everything prepared for the final round?
Yeah, I had a bad carburetor on the back go bad. Float broke off on it. Been doing it all night, so I'm used to it. Come in, the guys give me the wrenches and put it back in there and go back out and beat it to death again.
So it looks like it's going to be 2 Fords in the final.
It's finally me and Foot. I've never ran Foot with a blower motor, and I've never ran Foot 100%. It's 90% now, but I'm confident enough the other 10%, so I think that's all counts.
Good luck to you, Mike.
Thank you very much.
You got it, Ford fans. Bigfoot and Outlaw in the TNT Monster Truck Challenge Finals from Louisville Motor Speedway. It's up when we come back. Showtime for the Monster Truck Final, and the Outlaw is trying to gain Ford supremacy over Andy Brass and Bigfoot, and Mike Wine is opening a huge lead. Again, Andy Brass is going to have to put his foot all the way through it and try to come from behind. Here comes Brass. Outlaw still has a big lead, but Mike Wine now is losing that lead. It is Bigfoot taking over. Mike Wine appears to have gone dead, and Bigfoot is going to record the victory. Andy Brass and Bigfoot wins it at Louisville Motor Speedway in Louisville, Kentucky, and the Outlaw is dead in the water. What a huge disappointment for Mike Wine, who really thought this was his chance to finally take over the reins as the king of the Fords by beating Bigfoot head-to-head in a championship matchup. He had a big lead, but here it goes dead. And inside the cab, Mike Wine appeared to be fighting with the killer radio box. There's a killer radio in that truck that the TNT officials control that allow them to kill the truck if it goes out of control. Wine wasn't out of control, but he had big problems with the killer radio. Nonetheless, the TNT officials say everything stands, and Bigfoot gets the win. Look at there. With the Bigfoot 4 truck replacing the banned Bigfoot 8, Bigfoot is still back on top in season points. Equalizer, Crunch, Crusher, and Kong round out the top 5. USA 1 is still number 6. Gravedigger unable to make up much ground. Then Nightlight, the Outlaw, and Buffalo Tremor round out the top 10. Well, Mike Wine got a bad break, and certainly the problems with the killer radio box notwithstanding, he has to be disappointed. But you can take absolutely nothing away from the amazing driving of Andy Brass in Bigfoot. Coming out of the technologically advanced state-of-the-art Bigfoot 8, in essence backing up to the Bigfoot 4 truck. Andy drove that monster through 2 weeks at Louisville Motor Speedway like very few drivers, maybe like nobody else has ever driven it before. And he leaves Louisville with the points lead, and he proved a lot for the Bigfoot camp. We'll see you next week here on ESPN TNT Monster Truck Challenge.